All right. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. This is the Life Class Book Club. What would it mean to be able to harness the power of your soul and find peace? Today we will, if I can talk, we will be talking about Chapter 7, External Security is an Illusion. Chapter 8, Live with Integrity. And Chapter 9, Pursue Your Right Livelihood. And so I have with us Phil Bolsta, and again, this is week 3 of our 6-week book series. And so very, very excited to have you back, Phil. Yay, we're halfway through.
Not quite yet. We're getting there.
Yeah, after today, this will be halfway through. And it's just going so fast. I don't know about you, but each week just feels like it's slipping away from me.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's probably good to mention the name of the book, too. So
yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Our book is Through God's Eyes, and that's backwards since I'm holding it up. But yes, finding peace and purpose in a troubled world. And, you know, it doesn't even matter where you've come in to join us, if you missed the first 2 weeks or not, because you can really dive in at any point in time and get value from the message, definitely from the book. So I know our time goes really quickly. Let's jump in right away with External Security is an Illusion. And let's start out on page 173. External security does not bring peace. External security does not bring peace. Rather, peace brings internal security.
Right.
Can you talk about that for a few minutes?
Yes. Well, I really like one of the quotes I use at the start of the chapter. Security is not in having things, it's in handling things. And that's a key point. And if you think you have security because you have possessions and a job and things of that nature, you're really living an illusion to an extent. Because security like that, can it bring peace of mind? Yes, to some degree, but it can't provide a deep, enduring sense of meaning and purpose. I like the way Paramahansa Yogananda said it. He said, possession of material riches without inner peace is like dying of thirst while bathing in a lake. So it's really understanding that security is not something external, it's something internal. And when you have internal security, external security becomes an afterthought.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm getting a bit of a feedback, Phil. I'm just going to have you turn down your volume a little bit if you can.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, we just get so caught up in that security of external money, income, if I had the right job or I had the right relationship, then I could be happy. And I think one of my life-changing moments was when I was listening to a call and, you know, they said, what's one of your goals for the new year, blah, blah. Financial serenity was one of my goals. And the person said, what is the feeling that you wish to achieve once you've attained financial serenity? And that connection between it isn't financial serenity that I'm looking for as much as it is the feeling of peace and faith and trusting. And so it was such a beautiful realization to begin to understand that I do have power over how I'm feeling right now. I don't have power over how much I make, but I have power how I'm feeling right now. And when you can align with that internal peace, everything else just begins to flow in your life.
Yeah, in fact, in a later chapter, I speak to that, and as you said, we're kind of chapter hopping, which is fine. But abundance is our divine birthright. And every prayer is answered. But, as you just alluded to, Julie, the response is often misinterpreted because the universe responds to the essence of your request rather than the specifics of it. You said the specifics were financial, and the essence was really inner serenity. And therefore, what you ask for may be delivered at a time that you may not expect and in a package that you may not recognize.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and when you can, shift into that thinking, it is a partnership with surrender.
Everything always comes down to surrender. Every single principle in this book or in spirituality in general, it all comes down to surrender, because when you surrender, when you align your will with divine will, and you are attuned to that divine current, you can say, then everything falls into place. If you have pure intent and your will is aligned with divine will, all things become possible. If you are disconnected from that current, then everything is more difficult and things don't flow as naturally. So when you have surrendered to God and you live to please and to serve God and nobody else, then you are aligned with that energy and that intelligence that brings abundance. However, at that point, abundance becomes less important to you, external abundance, that is. So it's kind of a catch-22. You will have it when you stop being so attached to it, when you don't need it anymore. But it all depends, too. What is your purpose in life? That's another main theme of yours in the work you do, Julie. So if your purpose in life requires financial abundance, then that is a great thing. What I need to do is get my message out in the world, get this book out in the world, and that requires me to have more money coming in. So that is something that I'm trying to attract. Other people's purpose may be different and more contained locally, and they don't need as much financial abundance to fulfill their purpose in this world. I think Carolyn May said maybe somebody's purpose is just simply to be a good neighbor on your block and an inspiration to others. So it all depends. People have different purposes and different needs to fulfill those purposes.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the quotes, I can't remember exactly how it goes, but it talks about, being able, success is being able to live on less or not need so much to get by. Mm-hmm. And I think that as I move deeper into that spiritual awakening, my sister said to me, life is just really simple, Julie. We wake up in the morning. I don't know why, but that makes me cry. We wake up in the morning and we spend time with our families, and we go to bed at night, and then we do it all over again the next day. Mm-hmm. And it's just really simple.
It is. And surrendering, again, makes it simple, because that removes all the complexities of life. It removes expectations. It removes judgments. It just is living with a pure intent and a loving heart and doing the best you can in the moment.
And I think it really hit me hard because I was at a point in my life where I just felt like I was on the hamster wheel. Mm-hmm. And it was just go, 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 go. And I just never, had enough time to stop and breathe. And when she simplified it, it was like, Wow, she's right. Life really is simple.
You know, a great attitude to have is that of a child. If we can be childlike to the point, I had a friend of mine say that her little niece, like 3 years old, got up one morning, looked out the window, and gasped and said, "It's a brand new day." And how beautiful is that? You can't get any more simple or pure than that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I know I was watching a clip, Eckhart Tolle, and the question, the gentleman in the audience said, "What's a day like in the life of Eckhart Tolle?" And he smiled and he laughed. And one thing he said was, I have things to do just like everybody else. But if they don't get done, they don't get done.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I don't stress over it. And he said, oftentimes, they just disappear. They don't need to be done. And it goes off my list, or, goes off of my priorities. But it was just so funny the way that he had just a real presence with life, with the simpleness of life, the
Yes.
simplicity.
Yes, and I often ask myself throughout the day, is what I'm doing right now the best use of my time? And that has all sorts of implications, not just in what I'm doing, but how I'm thinking and feeling in my attitude. If I feel myself not being positive in any way, that's a good check-in, and always being aware. Eckhart Tolle is one who said, if you can consciously watch your thoughts as if they were someone else's thoughts, that is the first step towards awareness. And if you can get to that point, then everything becomes more clear, and you can monitor yourself. And if you find yourself slipping out of attunement or slipping into negativity, you can catch it and correct it. And affirmations are a great way to do that. So it's not only awareness, but coping mechanisms and strategies, and just keeping yourself on track. And it's a long process. It's a lifelong process.
Yeah, a moment to moment
Yes.
lifelong process.
Yes.
I do want, before we jump into 8, and I know we're kind of running long here, I do really would love to have you touch on karma.
Okay, what is about karma?
We talked on page 189, and let me just quote that.
Okay. I've got it right here.
I'm over on 191.
Okay.
There are in nature neither rewards nor punishments. There are consequences.
Yes.
And-
Uh-huh.
So there's, I know a lot of spiritual talk about karma, and you actually do cover it in the chapter, as far as, in the past we had karma debt that we came into this lifetime to pay off, if you will, and now we've reached an age of enlightenment, that we can release our karmic debt, and we can release karmic debt through blessings and love.
Well, the first thing I'd like to say about karma is a lot of people think that it's punishment.
Yes, yes.
And karma is not positive or negative. It's simply purposeful. Actions that are harmonious with divine will produce results that we consider desirable, and inharmonious actions produce undesirable results. But it's not something that, as you said in the quote by Charles Ingersoll, it's not reward or punishment. It's just simply consequences. That's all there is to it. And whatever you think and say and do has consequences. And we may consider those consequences positive, we may consider them negative, but they are, at their essence, neutral. It's our interpretation of them. And I have some examples of why sometimes we look at something and think it's negative, and it turns out to be positive down the road, and vice versa. And there's many wonderful quotes about that every curse is a blessing and every blessing is a curse. And it's just the understanding that karma is really the lifeblood of all your relationships, from your briefest encounters to your deepest friendships. Karmic consequences are certain, but they are unpredictable. And the same cause may affect two people's karma very differently based on their prior karma, their pre-incarnation agreements, and an infinite number of other variables that all combine into effects that serve the highest good of each individual. So it's really a surface type of thinking to say, oh, I'm suffering in this life, therefore I was bad in a previous life. That's not it at all. Everyone is bad or good and weaving through according to our interpretations of bad and good, but it's just simply consequences, and it's all something too that every soul needs to experience all the essences of what it means to be human. And therefore everyone in one lifetime or another will experience different things, and it's not because you're good or bad again, it's because your soul needs to experience those things. So that's kind of a long-winded answer, and I barely touched on it, but the section in that chapter goes into it in much more detail.
Yeah. And it is a beautiful idea that we are not held to karma anymore, that we can move beyond as we awaken.
Well, I would be careful about that. You have to move beyond karma. You really, that's true, but it takes a lot of effort towards enlightenment, and really it takes realizing self-realization or enlightenment to really have any karmic debts mitigated or forgiven. You can't just say, well, I'm spiritual and I'm trying to live a spiritual life, therefore I'm free of karma. No. Everyone will continue to have karma. It's when you are one with God at a very high level of consciousness, that's when karmic debts become forgiven. But do not make the mistake of thinking, I am karma free now just because I'm trying to live a spiritual life.
And that's a really good point. I absolutely agree with that. And I think maybe it is more in terms of our perception of what karma is and what karma means, that as you continue to evolve on that spiritual journey, that your perception of that begins to shift, and
right.
That it's not a punishment. It is more of a, I don't know that consequence doesn't feel like the best word for that, but it is just about experiences.
Yes, and again, it's
God isn't punishing me.
the more enlightened you become, perhaps the less impact karma can have on your life. I like what Paramahansa Yogananda, he said, seeds of past karma cannot germinate if they are roasted in the fires of divine wisdom. But that's coming from an awfully high level of divine wisdom when you merge with, for example, Christ consciousness.
Yeah. And, it does kind of play back into that idea that it's never about what happens to you, it's always about how it makes you feel. And so as you continue on that spiritual evolution and awaken, all of those little things that drove you crazy or that hurt your feelings or offended you just begin to dissolve and vanish. And you're just able to sustain that purity of love and harmony.
Yes, and I like what Wayne Dyer said. He said, how people treat you is their karma. How you react is yours.